Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam Mayappa. Welcome everybody if you just joined in. Well, we just started and you currently streaming live with us on Attenville TV. This is the Journey Show. This show is all about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host Kimera, Heeralal, and if you'd like to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details which you'll find at the bottom right of your screen, or you could use the bottom column where it says live chat. As we've got Andy Poonen coming in on Facebook saying Vanakkam, and Romashni Padachi, Vanakkam. Well, Vanakkam to all of you this evening. Thank you guys so much for joining the show. And today's going to be a jam-packed show, and we are talking about, guess what? We decided to move on to the swastika. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, for those of you who are wondering, what is she talking about? Now, it is that sign that looks a little like the... how do I put it to you? The Nazi sign. If you can put it to that. Put it like that. Now we've got editing with Rav coming in on YouTube as well. He says, good evening, Kimera. Okay, honey, my name's Kimera. Sorry, I love my name. I have to correct you there, Mr. Revav. Should I call you Revav? Or is your name full with editing with Revav? Okay, Revav? Thank you so much. Good evening to you, Revav. Thank you for joining the show. Tell us where you're from, what's your real name, so I can address you properly next time we are interacting with one another. All right, so stay tuned for the jam-packed show as we're talking about the swastika this evening on the Journey Show. Remember, the show is about exploring Hinduism. Remember, you are allowed to share your feelings, your beliefs, your facts, whatever you feel is true about Hinduism or that goes with whatever we're talking about right here on Attenville TV. You are most welcome to join us right here on Attenville TV live, where it says live chat. Comment there. We've got Rivashan coming in on his own account saying editing with Rivav. Well, Rivashan, well, thank you for joining us and thank you for being a part of Attenville TV. This is going to be a jam-packed show full of education and lots of surprises. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back straight after this commercial break.
You can do anything. All you need is determination. And a fresh pair of these nallies. But what's the point of looking like NJ game if all your money is on your feet and your dreams go up in flames? In this world of doing it for Ikram, do you want a bank that takes your money or a bank that takes your money seriously?
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam Mayappa. Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined the show, you are currently streaming live with us on Attenville TV. This is the Journey Show, and this is the show all about exploring Hinduism as a whole. If you want to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details that you'll find at the bottom right of the screen, or you can use the bottom column where it says live chat. Now, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to Auntie Kim coming in. She says Vanakkam as well. Kim Padachi. Thank you, Andy, Romashni, Kim, as well as Rivashan. Thank you guys so much for interacting with us in the show. And as we go along with the show, you're welcome to share your views, your beliefs, your everything. All right, opening up the show today, before we go to the swastika, I'd like to give you guys a little information pieced together by our director and our team. It's called the Rangoli. So let's have a look at the visible somatics and the inaudible mantras we have to show you today. Take a look.
सूत्रा वामन रूपा महेश्वर पुत्रा विघ्न विनायक पाद नमस्ते ओम गं गणपतये नमः गणपतये नमः ॐ घं गणपतये नमः गणेश शरणं शरणं गणेश
गणेश शरणं शरणं गणेश
विनायक शरणं शरणं विनायक
विनायक शरणं शरणं विनायक
graphics put together by Andy Poonen himself. Well, what you just saw was the Rangoli, the visible somatics, and the inaudible mantras. I hope you guys learned a little something there. So now, for those of you who are non-Hindu, you go to a Hindu person's house or any type of Hindu person's house, and you notice that there are markings on the floor, and you wonder, what was that? Hey, you learned a little something. Ramashni Parachi coming in on YouTube. Beautiful video. Thank you so much, honey. All right. Let's jump into it as promised. Okay, so today we decided to talk about the swastika. All right, brought to you by Ramashni Parachi herself. All right, so the swastika. Let's talk about it. Now, it looks like the that sign, with the Nazis. Yeah, it does look like that, but it's not. It's not the same. Okay. Now let's talk about that a little bit. Okay, so now the swastika in Sanskrit, the word swastika is a combination of the word su, meaning good, and the word asti, meaning exist. Now this gets translated as all is well, and the swastika is not just important for Hindus, but also for Buddhists and Jains. Now for Buddhists, the swastika signifies Buddha's footprints and heart, right? And for Jains, the swastika is the symbol of the seventh Tirthankara, meaning footmaker, or ford maker rather, and one of the liberated souls showing the way for others in the Jain tradition. Now, with the arms symbolizing one of the 4 places a soul can be reborn in the cycle of birth and death. Now, the meaning of the swastika in Hinduism, let's talk about that. Now, the swastika is considered a symbol of general auspiciousness in Hinduism. Now, the swastika may represent purity, truth, and stability of the soul. Alternatively, the sun. Now, it is also the symbol of Lord Ganesha. All right, being Lord Ganesha's day, beautiful day to talk about the swastika. All right, so let's talk about the description of the swastika. Now, just remember this. Everything I teach is all from the research that my team has done. If you want to share your opinion or your facts or your beliefs as you were growing up, you're welcome to do so at the bottom of the screen. All right, so the description of the swastika. Now, Brahma, everybody knows Brahma. We've done a show on him already. If you haven't, go back so you can watch these shows. Okay. Now, Brahma is in the middle of the swastika, right? And the 4 arms coming out of the middle are called Dharma, Moksha, Artha, and Karma. Now, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, I am English speaking, so if I do mispronounce anything, please do forgive me for that. But if the message delivers, I think I've done my duty and job today. All right. So the straight line after the bend of the arms is called a Sarupya, Salokya, Simbapya, and Sayujya. Now, the ends of the arms of the swastika symbol are called ego, mind, chitta, and intellect. Now, the empty space of the arms of the swastika is called surrender, love, faith, and reverence. Okay, so there are actually 4 types of the Purushantas that are there. So the 4 types are Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. There are 4 types of liberation: Sarupya, Salokya, Samupya, and Sayujya. There are 4 types of inner being: ego, mind, chitta, and intellect. And there are 4 types of bhakti, which is surrender, love, faith, and reverence. All right, so now you learned the different types of things or meanings or symbols that we are talking about today. As we're talking about the swastika, you're learning what each part means. Okay. Now, the swastika symbol has been described in many ways in Hinduism. Now, as the 4 arms of the swastika describes the 4 directions, okay, the 4 Vedas, and their harmonious whole. Now, the importance of the swastika symbol in Hinduism is the meaning of the 2 types of swastika. There are 2 types of swastikas, one facing right and one facing left. Now, both forms indicate the 2 forms of Lord Brahma, which are evolution and involution. Now, in the swastika facing right, the arms bend clockwise, right? Now, it is considered auspicious and represents Lord Ganesha Surya, meaning the sun, and Nagas, meaning snakes. Now, in Hinduism, the symbol is widely used during the auspicious occasions. Now, in the swastika facing left, the arms bend in anti-clockwise direction. It is considered inauspicious and represents involution. Now, the swastika has numerous other symbols or symbolisms attached to it as well. Now, it represents 4 directions, which are north, south, east, and west, thus making it a representation of stability. Now, it is also believed that to have derived from the chakra as well, thus making it the wheel of life. Now, there's a religious significance of the swastika symbol as well. And in Hinduism, the swastika symbol is considered to be the symbol of Ganapati. All right? Now, Lord Ganesha, who removes all obstacles, gives the boon of happiness and prosperity. And in Hinduism, swastika symbol is used to complete any work smoothly and get success in it. Now, moving on to the simple and effective remedies for the swastika. It is believed that by making a swastika sign with vermilion or rolly on the main door of a house, no negative energy enters that house, and happiness and prosperity will always remain upon the family living in that house. So now you know, when you put a swastika sign above your door in your home, this is what will happen. No negative energies can enter that house. It will just be happiness and prosperity. That's it. Okay, the swastika symbol is also specially used to get success in your career or your business. And it is believed that if you want to get success in a particular work, then you should make a swastika sign with turmeric on the north direction of your house and keep showing incense lamp there every single day. Now, to get profit in a business, make a mark with dried turmeric on the northeast direction for 7 consecutive Thursdays. All right. And it is believed that this remedy miraculously removes the losses in business and increases the wealth. Now, let's talk a bit about the history of the swastika. All right. Now, in the Western world, swastika is a synonymous, with fascism, that it goes back like thousands and thousands of years. All right. And it has been used as a symbol of good fortune and in almost every culture in the world. Now, early Western travelers to Asia were inspired by its positive and ancient associations and started using it back home. Now, by the beginning of the 20th century, there was a huge fad for the swastika as a benign good luck symbol. Now, Coca-Cola actually used it, if you didn't know. Woo! And how successful do you know Coca-Cola to be? Now, Carlsberg used it in their beer bottles as well. The Boy Scouts adopted it, and the Girls Club of America called their magazine Swastika. And they would even send out swastika badges to their young readers as a prize for selling copies of the magazine. Looking at the top right of my head here, well, for you that's your left of the TV, you're looking at what the swastika sign actually looks like. Now, as I'm telling you guys the story and the history about the swastika, it was also used by American military units during the World War I, and it could be seen on the RAF planes as late as the 1939 time. Now, most of these benign uses the same. Most of these benign uses came to a halt in the 1930s as the Nazis rose to power in Germany. All right. Now, the Nazi use of the swastika stems from the work of the 19th century German scholars translating old Indian texts who noticed similarities between their own language and Sanskrit as well. Now, they concluded that Indians and Germans must have had a shared ancestry and imagined a race of white, godlike warriors that they called Aryans. Now, this idea was seized upon by anti-Semitic nationalist groups who appropriated the swastika as an errant symbol to boost a sense of ancient lineage for the Germanic people. Now, this black straight marked, you call it a hooked cross, a Hakenkreuz, okay? And this straight-armed Hakenkreuz on the distinctive white circle and a red background of the Nazi flag would become the most hated symbol of the 20th century. All right, we all know about the Nazis. Now, inextricably linked to the atrocities committed under the Third Reich. Now, a 93-year-old Holocaust survivor, Freddie Noller, also said that, excuse me, for the Jewish people, the swastika is a symbol of fear, a symbol of suppression, a symbol of extermination. Now, these three things are simply not true, but this is what they believed and this is what they said. Now, it is a symbol that we will never ever be able to change, right? But if they put the swastika on gravestones or you call them synagogues, or as well as it puts fear into us, if you see these things. And surely it shouldn't happen again. Let's hope so. Now, the swastika was banned in Germany at the end of the war, and Germany tried unsuccessfully to introduce an EU-wide ban in 2007. Now, the irony is that the swastika is more European in origin than most people realize. And archaeological finds that have long demonstrated that the swastika is a very, very old symbol. It's just like our culture. And but ancient examples are by no means limited to India. It was used by the ancient Greeks, Celts, Anglo-Saxons, and some of the oldest examples have been found in Eastern Europe from the Baltic to the Balkans. Now, the swastika pattern is deeply rooted in Europe, right? And it's also in Kiev. The National Museum of the History of Ukraine has an impressive range of exhibits. Now, among the museum's most highly prized treasures is a small ivory figurine of a female bird. And it's made from the tusk of a mammoth, right? And it was found in 1908 and at the Paleolithic settlement of the Mezin near the Russian border. Now, on the torso of the bird is engraved an intricate meander pattern of joined up swastikas, right? And it's the oldest identified swastika pattern in the world and has been radiocarbon dated to an astonishing 15,000 years ago. Now, the bird was found with a number of phallic objects, which supports the idea that the swastika pattern was used as a fertility symbol. Now, in 1965, a paleontologist called Valentina Babikova, Valentina discovered that the swastika meander pattern is also it's the pattern on a bird that is very similar to the naturally occurring pattern visible on a cross-section of ivory. Now, single swastikas begin to appear in the Neolithic Vinca culture across the southern Eastern Europe about 7,000 years ago, but it's in Bronze Age that they became more widespread, all right, and across the whole of Europe. Now, in the museum's collection, there are clay pots with single swastikas encircling their upper half, which date back to around 4,000 years ago. Now, when the Nazis occupied Kiev in World War II, they were so convinced that these pots were evidence of their own Aryan ancestors that they took them back to Germany. However, they were returned after the war. Now, in the museum's Grecian collection, right, the swastika is it is as visible as the architectural ornament which has come to be known as the Greek key pattern. Now, widely used on the tiles and textiles to this day. This is what's happening, and this is your history. Now, the ancient Greeks also used the single swastika motifs to decorate their pots and vases. Now, one fragment in the collection from around the 7th century BCE shows that a swastika with limb, like unfurling dendrils, painted under the belly of a goat. Now, this is what your swastika history is all about. Interact with us in studio today as we have Amanda Blouse coming in saying, good evening, honey. And Sanande Blouse, good evening, Auntie Kimera. Good evening, Sanande. Thank you so much for joining the show this evening. God bless you guys. Today we're talking about the swastika. If you joined a little late, you're going to have to click on the link a bit later and watch the show again. Now, what we've done today, what we've done today is when we opened up the show, for those of you who missed it, we opened up with the Rangoli, the visible somatics, and the inaudible mantras, and the signs and things that, Hindus place on the ground, and there's different symbols. And when you go to a Hindu's house, you actually learn today what it means. When we opened up the show straight after that, we talked about the sign, the swastika. I hope the director still has it on the top right of my head here on screen, showing you what the swastika looks like. And yes, it does look like the sign from the Nazis. We've already explained a little bit about the swastika. We spoke about the meaning of the swastika in Hinduism. We also gave the description of the swastika, as well as the importance of the swastika symbol in my culture, Hinduism. And we spoke about the two different types of the swastika. And we also mentioned the religious significance of it. Not forgetting the simple and effective remedies of what the swastika is for in Hinduism. And not forgetting, last but not least, the history of the swastika. Well, stay tuned as we're going to move on to the Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 with Shashi Gasain all the way in London. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned just for that. We'll come back straight after this. Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining the show, you are currently streaming live with us on Attenville TV. This is the Journey Show, the show about, well, exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera Heeralal, and if you'd like to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details that you find at the bottom right of the screen. all right. If you don't want to use those contact details, use the bottom column where it says live chat, as we are streaming live. Now, if you are watching the show for the very first time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already. Once you subscribe, click on the little belly on top there and select the word all, and Attenville TV will notify you every time that they are streaming live. All right. So moving on from the swastika, today we're moving on to Shashi Gasain, helping us all the way from London. Give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Today she is informing us or teaching us today about Chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita. Let's take a listen.
Namaste, I'm Shashi Gasain. Now we shall continue our journey through Gita and look at each chapter at a time. So in chapter 2, Shri Krishna explained the ultimate spiritual goal is to eliminate our desires. And later he spoke about the eternal essence or the Atma. So this was in chapter 2, and now we shall continue with chapter 3. So chapter 3 actually provides us the technique of Karma Yoga, of the actions we need to take. It's a selfless action, and it's a first step to actually begin the elimination of these desires. Arjun is still in a very confused mind. He still doesn't know whether he should be fighting or not fighting, and he hasn't really had time to reflect on Shri Krishna Ji's discourses in what we saw in chapter 2. So chapter 3 actually begins with a question from Arjuna to Shri Krishna, and that is knowledge superior to action? Why fight at all? And he's still trying to get out of this action of fighting. So let's have a look at how Krishna Ji actually answers this and puts him in the right path. Arjuna, being a military man, was used to fighting in a battlefield with terse orders and exact motion of action. So he wanted Shri Krishna Ji to tell him the right path in precise terms so he could actually start living the life that Shri Krishna Ji was trying to explain to him that will give him the ultimate happiness. So Shri Krishna tells Arjuna there are two paths. One is a yoga of action and one is a yoga of knowledge. So Arjuna asks, at this particular point, what do I need to do? Show me, tell me, so I can actually go on the right path. Shri Krishna Ji tells Arjuna that he cannot run away from his actions that he's already started, or nor can he actually change the course of actions. everything in nature, or what we call Prakriti, is continually changing. Whether it's our bodies or the nature outside, or even the rocks are changing geologically. So nature is changing all the time and we have to move with it. We cannot stay stationary and take no action. Sri Krishna ji says that the universe is made of 3 energies or 3 gunas, which are forces that make up the entire universe. And these 3 forces are Rajas, which actually causes movement, Tamas, which causes inertia, and Sattva, which is a harmony between movement and inertia. So just imagine, all those years ago, Hinduism knew about forces of nature. And the funny thing is, we are compelled to work with those forces. Any forces around the earth, we are compelled to work with it. We cannot move independently of anyone. And Sri Krishna ji also warns Arjuna that you cannot just repress everything. There's no way you can advance in spirituality if you're just repressing your desires. There's an actual motion of how we actually come to terms with it, how we can address it, and only then we can experience true spirituality. Repression of actions does not eliminate desires. For example, an alcoholic man may not have alcohol at home, might just get rid of all the bottles. But as soon as he's outside with his friends in a bar, for example, and he's been offered a drink, it's very difficult for him to actually repress that desire. So Krishna ji says that how he can get rid of those desires and still do normal actions is what's called Karam Yoga. Shri Krishna ji says, yes, do your actions, but do not get attached to the results or what the attachment you're going to put to that action. And for that, there are 2 weapons. So he then goes on to elaborate that. The first one is discrimination or viveka. And that means always being aware and alert of our surroundings, and remember that the material objects are very transient in life. They'll just come and go, and just not get attached to any one thing. And the second one is dispassion, what is called viragya. And if we constantly practice discrimination, it's over a period of time, dispassion will happen automatically. Objects, people, situations will begin to lose their hold on us. They will not feel so important that, it takes our psyche away. So this is a slow detachment that happens over a period of time, and is how we train our thoughts. Dispassion will actually prevent energy rushing out into the world of material objects through our senses. And once we're in control of our own mind and senses, then that energy which was rushing out can be channeled back into us to perform Karam Yoga. There are 2 types of action. The first one is Niyatam, and this is looking after your parents, family, job, home, your nation, which are the prescribed actions. The second one is called Nishida, and these are the forbidden actions. For example, killing or stealing, cheating, or really being rude to anyone. Sri Krishna urges Arjuna to carry out Niyatam, which is a prescribed actions, without attachment to the result. And this is a fundamental point that's made throughout Gita. Sri Krishna reiterates that we cannot resort to inaction. Without action, we cannot even look after our bodies, which is absolutely fundamental if we want our own spiritual journey. We have to first be physically and mentally fit. So far, Sri Krishna ji has spoken about why performing actions is essential, what kind of action should be done, and now then he goes on to say how the action should be performed. And this is the essence of Karam Yoga. Sri Krishna says, perform all actions with selfless dedication to a higher deity, and all your material needs for this earth will be provided for. And this is called the universal law. In essence, if we serve a higher ideal, the higher ideal will serve us. And that's whether it's God, the elders, or even superiors at work. Sri Krishna urges us to act in a spirit of harmony and cooperation for any work that we undertake for a mutual good. This is the essence of teamwork, which was laid down in Gita. Sri Krishna reminds us not to treat any individual, plant, or animal with disrespect, since they collectively are serving us all. And this is the ecosystem which was also mentioned in the Gita. Krishna ji says there are two levels of action that a person can operate under. The first one is a selfish one, where his vision is very narrow, limited, and self-centered. And the second one is selfless action, where the person has got a very broad vision and he's always thinking about how he can act where the family will benefit, his employer will benefit, or even the nation will benefit, or even his community will benefit. And this individual will always have the higher ideal in his mind all the time. He's aware all the time. He'll take care of everyone around him before himself. And this is the highest level of action, and these are what we call the wiser individuals, and they are liberated from all sins. So very important point, it's the selfless people who are liberated from all sins. So the message in this verse says that if everybody came together with a common goal, with a higher ideal in mind, that their efforts will definitely be successful. He explains that Karma Yoga is a means, it's a technique to realize the eternal essence, because it's that eternal essence that's created the rules of the whole universe. So we really have to get together with us, with our Atma, and how we are connecting with everything, which really impacts ourselves, our community, and above all, our own peace. Only through the spirit of yajna, or the selfless action for a higher ideal, will we move forward on a path of realization of the eternal essence. He says yajna is a system of evolution, which means it's a way of moving from the lower plane of existence to the higher one. Sri Krishna ji explains that humans are the only species capable of rational analysis and thinking and have choices. So the first choice is to remain at the current state, which is a lower state of selfishness, transient desires, and then which leads to guilt, fear, anger, or even hatred. Or you evolve to the higher plane, and this is identified with the higher ideals and how we work selflessly. If we examine ourselves, we realize that we derive pleasure and satisfaction from external sources, for example, material objects or other people. But in reality, the source of happiness is the absence of desires. For example, if somebody wants to buy the latest sari, it's the thought of buying the sari which is really, in their head. And once they've bought it, they have this certain calmness. And it's not because of the sari, they just feel that their desire has been fulfilled, and it's the absence of desire. They don't have that desire anymore. And that has led to the calmness. So it's a very fundamental point that once there's absence of desire, that's when we find the calmness within us. So Krishna ji says, the wise person will understand that it's the absence of desires that has made him happy, and not the object itself. Krishna ji urges us to practice Karma Yoga and set an example. He tells Arjuna to go and fight to set an example, and only then he could lead his army. Krishna ji even gives his own example as a Karma Yogi. He has attained this supreme independence, but yet he works joyously for the service of humanity, because without these teachings, the whole world would have collapsed. Krishna ji urges Arjuna to perform action and not give in to the tendency of being lazy, which most humans are. Even if it's not for himself, but he has to set up this role model for people who are looking up to him. So all tasks, no matter how insignificant or unpleasant, should be performed selflessly, diligently, mindfully, and with complete dedication. He further goes on to say that we should do our task according to our ability, but do not rebuke others, because people are at different stages of development. So by criticizing, you will actually demoralize them. So this is again a part of teamwork, of how you can get the best out of all the people around you. And in this instance, it was his army. That just encourage people and you will get the best out of them. Our ancient rishis knew that all the matter or Prakriti are made up of combination of three essential forces called the gunas. The first one is the inert force called tamas. The second one is the active force or the rajas. And the third one is sattva, which is the harmonizing force. And every action that we perform in reality is formed by this Prakriti or the nature, and it does comprise a combination of three gunas. We are the eternal essence, which is everlasting and all-pervading. Prakriti then is further divided into 24 components. The first 5 are space, air, fire, water, earth. Next are the 5 mediums, which are sound, touch, form, taste, smell. Next one are 5 sense organs, which is ear, skin, eye, tongue, nose. Next ones are 5 organs of actions, which is speech, grasp, movement, generation, excretion. And the last are 4 internal organs, which is mind, intellect, memory, and ego. Just imagine, these distinctions were made so long ago and written in the Gita, which the West have only found centuries later. So he says Prakriti, which is nature, comprising of these 3 gunas or the forces of energy, are working continually. And we too have to do our selfless actions and watch without attachment. We have to get rid of these negative thoughts of thinking of the past, which absolutely drain our mental energy, and actually focus on the present. We can only focus on the present by getting rid of all these negative energies. So a true Karma Yogi lives in the present and gives his absolute attention to any task he's doing. But if we are bound to actions or objects, we'll never be able to experience this eternal essence, which is actually the ultimate goal prescribed in the Gita. So Arjuna asks, why is it that even well-read, well-educated people cannot practice Karma Yoga? And Krishna ji says that we are all born with these inbuilt tendencies, our own traits, which compel us to work in a certain way. So we are just compelled to, taught from a very young age to act in a certain way. All beings, whether plants, animals, or humans, are born with this innate set of traits or tendencies. And in humans, it's manifests itself in the body, mind, and the intellect. And these traits are a product of our desires. So they are the one that cause the desires. These tendencies reside in our senses, whether it's the eyes, ears, skin, nose, or tongue. And we can overcome negative tendencies using our intellect to guide us and to continually remind us of this higher ideal that we've set ourselves as a Karma Yogi. Krishna ji advises us to focus on our duty or Swadharma. And we should realize that likes, dislikes are transient and will pass. And we cannot let it control our mind, because once it sets into our mind, it becomes dangerous desires. So these superficial likes, dislikes, the more you give importance to it, actually becomes to dangerous desires. Desires conceal wisdom. Our wisdom, or the ability to discriminate, resides in the intellect. And Sri Krishna ji gives us 3 types of desires by analogy. The first desire is the tamasic, and these are deep within us, totally cover the wisdom, just like a womb covers a fetus. And just like there is no other way to see the fetus other than to wait for its birth, the only way to get rid of tamasic desires is to wait. For example, alcoholism or drug use. Second one is rajasic desires, or transient, usually motivated by greed. For example, buying the latest gadget or car, or even boasting to friends. The third one is sattvic desires, and these are that cover our wisdom very lightly. For example, this urge to go and attend a satsang or go to a temple, but you do have this urge that you have to go, and so it's a very light desire. Our wisdom shines the brightest through sattvic desires. Through our journey of life, we should try to turn from tamasic desires to sattvic desires. So Krishna ji convinced Arjun that the desire and anger lied in him and not outside. And after that, he proceeds to reveal exactly where this enemy is. Krishnaji uses a language of a battle so that Arjuna can have more attention because he will relate to it better. The enemy in the form of desire resides in three bowls. The first one is the senses, second one the mind, and third the intellect. The most dangerous place for a desire to reside is the intellect, because this is a place where we analyze and rationalize everything. And once we rationalize love and hate, it's actually entered our intellect and is very difficult to get rid of. Krishnaji then actually shows the method of taming desires. He advises Arjuna to first control the desires at the first level of entry, which is the senses, before it gets to the intellect. For example, not using harsh words. So first don't even get the senses involved, and then it won't actually settle in the brain, in the intellect, or our inner being. He said the simplest technique was to take deep breaths and actually focus on inhaling and exhaling. And this will actually stop the mental chatter that goes on all the time. Just concentrate within us. Simple but effective. Krishnaji goes further to give us levels of awareness. The first one is the body is most tangible. Second one, after the body are the senses, then the mind, which generates reactions in the form of emotions and thoughts but lacks decision-making power. Fourthly comes the intellect, which can analyze and understand the thoughts generated by the mind. But superior to the intellect is the highest possible ideal, the eternal essence itself. Krishnaji advises Arjuna to tackle problems through the standpoint of the eternal essence and not from the standpoint of the prakriti or the body, because that is not his real identity. And this is Karam Yogi. So let's go over the summary of chapter 3. What did it actually teach us? First, he stressed the need to convince ourselves that we have to act. We simply cannot think that we can eliminate desires by not acting. Once we have convinced that we have to act, we have to adopt the attitude of Karam Yoga so that the further actions do not cause bondage. The attitude of Karam Yoga comprises 5 aspects of knowledge or buddhi that in order to maintain and perform the action. The first one is samta buddhi. We need to remain calm and alert in all situations. All situations are transient and we should not get moved by any of them. Second one is swadharma buddhi, which is find our passion of duty and then deploy all the desires in the service of the higher ideal. Third one, samarpana buddhi. We should always dedicate all actions to something that's higher than us. We are part of the universe and should contribute to the whole. Fourth one, asanga buddhi. We should constantly assess whether we are attached to any object, person, emotion, position, or action. We should work with no expectation of the future and no burden of the past. Fifth one, prasada buddhi. We should perform actions without expectation of results. We should accept every result as a prasada. Well, that was chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita. Amazingly written with pearls of wisdom, that if we all lived by the principles that it set down, the world would be such a happier place. Well, I hope you enjoyed looking at that particular aspect of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. This is Shashi Gosai. Thank you.
Shashi Gosai all the way in London, everybody. Today she took you through chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. It was a bit of a long one, but I hope you guys were well educated and learned something new today, as I did too. We've got Romel Barada coming in on YouTube. She says, Vanakam, honey. Guys, Romel Barada, my primary school bestie. Thank you so much for joining the show this evening. Hope you guys enjoying it. Thank you so much, Shashi Gosai, for joining us. If you are still watching the show, thank you so much. For those of you who just joined the show and are watching for the very first time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already. Coming up next, straight after the commercial break, we got Auntie Sheila standing by with her cooking. Yeah, and she's a bit funny as well, yeah? Well, don't go anywhere. We're going to come back straight after this commercial break.
The ultimate accessory the latest shiny thing, mesmerized, trying to keep up, but never getting ahead in an endless cycle of spending. In this world of constant upgrades, do you want a bank that takes your money or a bank that takes your money seriously?
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranam Ayyappa. Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, you are currently streaming live with us on Atonville TV. This is The Journey Show, the show about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera Heeralal, and if you'd like to interact with us in studio today, please do so with the contact details that you find at the bottom right of your screen, or you could use the bottom column where it says live chat. Now, going into it today, we've got Auntie Sheila standing by. Auntie Sheila is cooking dalgos for us today. Let's take a look.
Hi, darling. Welcome. Auntie Sheila is back to cook you some food. Okay, today I'm making dalgos, right? So what I'm doing is I'm putting some cinnamon stick in the oil. And all I'm doing, if you can see here, is I'm just going to add some onion with some dry chilies, okay? Hey, how y'all have been, darling? I've been so busy, man, preparing for show 11th of April. Suncoast, I'm going away. Globe, you must come. I'll cook biryani for you. Suncoast, the Globe, 11th April. You must be there. Go book your tickets now. Tickets selling fast. Anyway, darlings, so this is the onion. It's gonna fry a little bit in the oil. All right. Okay, as the onion is frying, darling. Hey, by the way, someone kept saying why I use a metal spoon. Oh, I'm Indian from South Africa and Durban. Most of the time I saw all our mother, all of them, our grannies, all of them, they use metal spoons. So, but I think you must be all talking about that wooden spoon. Wooden spoon, Indian people only dividing with, man. That's what we use wooden spoon with. Okay, right, darling. By the way, did I tell you I'm making dalgos today? Okay, so as the onion is frying, I will just inform y'all about all the events. Now, the new show, we're going to have lots of singing. Hey, y'all must put y'all's request, man, what song y'all want. And then also, we're going to have a lot of dances. Auntie Sheila goes to court, the real deal, the story, the gossip. Y'all must come. I know y'all like Langada stories. Come. Okay, onions is frying nicely, right? I'll be back to put in tomato. We're making dalgos. I told y'all that. Okay, darling, now what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to add in the tomato, right? Now, I know there's different methods, right, of cooking, but now today I'm putting the tomato first. And what I always say, my darling, cook that tomato nicely, because we don't want all that sour, that sourness. I don't like sour. When I get sour in the curry, munji pare kamwe. I like the curry must be nice, rumbo akade bevada nakade. So you let the tomato cook nicely and I'll be back, okay? Vanakkam. Okay, darling, now what I'm going to do is, as you can see, tomato is cooking nicely. You can see it is, now you little bit, you mash it. It must get like mashed into that oil and that onion, right? Once you do that, darling, I'm going to add some ginger garlic, right? I'm going to put the ginger garlic. Now this time, my mother ground the ginger and garlic for, some curry leaf and all that. And one green chili. I don't know, different styles she making. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this ginger garlic cook into the tomato. And for just a few minutes before I put masala, okay? Okay, darling, now that ginger garlic is a little bit cooked in, what I'm going to do is, so you can just give it a little bit braise again, okay? What I'm going to do, now put your stove a little bit low, right? First thing I'm going to do is add Amma's secret spice. I can't tell y'all, just stop asking me, please. If y'all want, y'all must come in my house. I'll give y'all some, right? Amma will grind for y'all. Okay, this is Amma's secret spice. Oh, it's too lovely, the spice. Right, then you put your normal masala. Right, masala of your choice. Now, I don't want to make too hot because, uncle too, he's complaining. So I'll put just 2. Let's see how it comes out. If I don't like it, then I'll put a little bit more. Then I use different styles of masala. I get it mixed, right? Put 1 more there. Then what you do is you put manja. Oh, y'all know how I love my manja. Hey, manja give 2 lovely color, darling. I like manja, right? Then what you do is you put, I like a nice jeera powder. And now with me, I grind all my spices at home, right? So nice jeera powder, put it, gives nice flavor, darling, right? And then, now with garam masala, you put it little bit in the end. Because I don't know why, I feel like when you put, and even garam masala too, I put, you know what I call garam masala? I mix the biryani spice and call it garam masala. Right, now that this is mixed little bit, you put a little bit water, darling, hot water, and you let that cook. Okay, darling, and I'm back now. What I've done is I've added, as you can see, the mutton, and then I put in some salt, and I'm gonna just braise this, put everything so that the meat marinates in that all that flavors that I braised the curry with, and I let that cook. Now, depending on the grade of meat you're cooking with, that will determine the duration of how long this meal will take to cook. Right. So what you do is now you leave it. You can put it a little bit high, let it cook, and the salt will bring up the water, right? So you don't need to add in any more salt. And at this point, darling, what I do is I take little bit of garam masala and I just sprinkle. Now, you know my trick of garam masala. I make biryani spice. I roast it little bit and then I grind. Not me. Amma does everything with for me. They always say, Mother is the greatest blessing. She's our first God, isn't it, darlings? So yeah, I put that over that garam masala and I'll let that cook nicely, okay? Then I'll come back, I'll sing for y'all, O Mera Sonare. Oh, how I like that song. Yeah, I'm going to do that number in the show and all, huh? O mere sonare, 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 din dungi jaan juda mat hona re, maine tujhe zara deer mein jana, hua ki surat ka mat hona re. Oh, darling, see how lovely the curry is cooking, right? So we want all that water to come up and that oil. And once, your meat is nice and tender, then we're going to add our lentils that we boiled and our biryani dal. Not biryani dal, our pea dal. Now with the pea dal, like how you make dal curry. Now this time I just boiled it, threw that water out, and I put normal manja, salt, and I boiled it plain, right? Plain. And then I boiled my biryani dal. But we'll come back and do all that. Okay, darlings, now that the curry is cooking slightly, what I'm going to do, as you can see, this is my lentils. I've got like about half cup of lentils. I put my lentils in slightly earlier so that they can cook a little bit with the curry. And what I do is I actually boil even my lentils with salt. So just, just be cautious of the amounts of salt you're putting into the curry, right? Because I like to even boil my dal with salt. So we're going to let that cook for just a bit. Okay, darlings, now what we're going to do is, as you can see, we're going to add our pea dal in this. Be careful, because what happens is it starts bubbling and it might just, get into your face and injure you. So just be rather cautious. I'm going to put the extractor off because it's, creating a big din. So once you do this, darling, put a little bit of hot water in just to create that just to let everything cook in nicely. And then when we come back, you'll see the final product. Okay, darling, this is the end product of our beautiful dal gos, looking nice and lovely and rich, and the gravy is beautiful. Darling, this is my version of dal gos, right? But there's so many different types and so many different versions. And if you have a better version, please by all means, darling, share your recipe with us, and maybe we can actually put up the video of you cooking your dal gos, or just give us your recipe, because we all want to help each other and be better chefs in the kitchen. But I hope you enjoyed this recipe. It's really, really delicious. You can have it with naan or some bread or some rice. Okay, my lovies, take care. Vanakkam.
Vanakkam, Auntie Sheila. Oh, all right, that was Auntie Sheila, everybody. For those of you who just joined the show, Auntie Sheila kills me. I gotta say that. All right, if you just joined the show, you're very, very late. The show starts at 7 o'clock. But hey, we just saw Auntie Sheila cooking dalgos for us. For those of you who just watched the show for the first time, subscribe. We've got Amanda Blouse coming in on YouTube saying it's her singing for me that is cute. Everything about her is cute. She's funny. She can cook. She got a sense of humor is something else. Oh man, well that's all the time we have for this evening, folks. But before we go, not forgetting our 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukural this evening. Today is number 12. Restrain your anger, cultivate patience. All right. This was brought to you by Palindran Munsamy, also known as Chippa in the Attenville community. Well, everyone that knows him, Palindran Munsamy. Thank you so much for helping us with all of the principles of the value system. Now, every day we're putting up one. So, Rumel Rana, I know you're joining us for the first time. Every day you will learn a new value from the 108 value systems. Let's do this again tomorrow, same time, same place, from 7 p.m. up until 8 p.m. every single weekday right here on Attenville TV. Well, this is the Journey Show. It's time for me to love and leave you guys. Don't forget, straight after the show at 8:30, we've got an interview, an exclusive interview. Now, we're all about uplifting the community and helping others, right? So what we're doing in our interview at 8:30 this evening, we are helping a very young girl try to accomplish her dream and a goal to become a professional athlete. Now, what she needs to become that is get sponsorships or, some kind of financial aiding. She knows exactly what she wants. So join us at 8:30 to find out a little bit more about this. It's going to be fun. 8:30 sharp today in about half an hour. Yeah, well, less than half an hour. Join us today on Attenville TV. Exclusive interview. Don't forget. From myself, Kimera Heeralal. Bye-bye for now. Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Esam Namayappa. Good night, everyone.